What's up, guys? Classy Metal here for the fourth installment of 7 Deadly Spins. I hope you guys are enjoying this series as much as I'm enjoying making it. I've got 7 new albums from the collection to share with you guys today, and I'm not going to waste much time. I'm just going to get right into this. It's kind of a mixed bag. I like to mix it up a little bit when I do these videos. I don't want to be redundant and show the same specific kind of genre over and over within the video. I like to mix it up, that way there's a little bit for everybody, something new for you guys to find through these videos. Just getting right into this, we have a release that was a release back in May, and this was actually shipped to me in May, but I only got it, I think, a day before yesterday. It took that long because it was international mail. Mail is moving so slow. What I've got is one of the new releases from Transcending Obscurity Records. This is Noctu with Gelidae, Mortis, Imago. Probably butchered that. I apologize. I do not speak Italian at all. I love Transcending Obscurity Records. I love their packaging. They spare no expense, as you can see on this digipack. And one interesting thing about this digipack, of course, you can see it has like the foil kind of glossy look. I love that. It is infused with funeral flower smell. I'm gonna hold it up close. Can you guys smell it? Yeah, I know you can't. It's very interesting. When I opened it up from the package, I did not know it was infused with that smell, and I opened it up and I couldn't figure out what I was smelling. And it is the digipack. It definitely has a flowery, floral smell going on. If you're not familiar with Noctu, it is the solo project of the artist Noctu, who's also involved in Aeternum, Ghost Lord, amongst some other projects. This is an atmospheric, kind of a blackened funeral doom, I guess is a good way to put this. It's very slow, very plodding, very maniacal, terrifying type stuff. There is one track on here, I believe it is track 4, that has Justin Harwing from Mournful Congregation, and you can definitely feel the Mournful Congregation influence within that track. It is probably the heaviest, most bludgeoning track on this album. I wouldn't say anything on this is in-your-face bludgeoning. It is very slow, tedious, elaborate, suffocating, cinematic funeral doom, but it is performed so well. The way this album is set up, it's 6 tracks long. You have kind of a atmospheric, kind of ambient type interlude for one of the tracks, and then the second track behind that is kind of a long opus type track. It is just a slow, terrifying, plotting existence into a meaningless eternity. That's the only way I know to put this album. There's so much isolationism, melancholy, and loss that can be found through this release, and it's structured so well. I definitely highly recommend you guys check this one out. When I first listened to this on Bandcamp, it kind of starts off with this, when I was just checking it out before I actually made up my mind to purchase this. The first track kicks in with like this drip, this slow like drip, 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 and that's all there is. It's so simplistic, but it evokes such feeling just from the get-go, and it's like you just want them to get into it, but they go at their pace. They force you as a listener to go at their pace through this and feel what they want you to feel through that album. Fantastic release. Definitely check out Noctu. As I said, everything will be linked up in the description for you guys to check out. Transcending Obscurity also threw this little button in with that, so I thought that was pretty cool as well. So I figured I'd go on and show that while showed the album. Next up, changing gears completely. We went from something that was so slow, so drawn out, and very, very plotting, to something that's in your face, blistering, 4 tracks long. This little EP is clocking in under 8 minutes for 4 tracks. What I have is the death metal kind of death grind outfit out of Washington DC with their the name of this band is Disrotter, and this is their Plague demo from 2020. This was mastered by Joel Grind, which I found to be quite interesting. As I said, it is in your face, no frills, death metal. There's no gimmicks going on this. They don't waste any time getting into just kicking your teeth in. Very simplistic packaging as it is just the demo. There's the actual disc for that. Kind of a dark time in Washington, D.C. right now, and I think this Plague demo fits very well with what's going on. As I said, the entire EP, the entire demo runs about 7 minutes and 45 seconds. There is one cover song. The last track is a Storm of Stress. It is a Terrorizer cover. They do that quite well. The 3 original tracks on this I absolutely adored. It's just fast-paced, old-school death metal, kind of death grind. There's only one track that clocks in over 2 minutes, and that's the third track, Unsoundness of Mind. The only reason that one goes over 2 minutes is because there's some dissonance and kind of ambience that kicks in about the 2 minute mark that carries you over into the Terrorizer cover. Definitely highly recommended if you're into that no frills, old school death metal, kind of death grind sound. Definitely check out Disrotter. I'm looking forward to hearing more material. I think this is the only release that they have under their belt so far. Definitely looking forward, hoping that maybe they have a full EP, maybe 30-minute EP, or even a full length come out in the very near future. I would be very excited to hear more from that camp there. Changing gears again, we've had Funeral Doom, we've had death metal. Let's do some progressive. We have the newest release from Psychotic, Waltz. I say newest release, this is the first release from this band in about 24 years. This came out on Valentine's Day. I remember I think it came out in 96. It was their album entitled The Bleeding, and I actually really dug that back at that time. I'm not often the hugest fan of progressive metal per se, but I remembered enjoying The Bleeding when I saw that this track was being this album was being touted and leading up to its release date. I kind of wanted to check this out, see what it was all about. And actually, I think I enjoyed this more than some of their older material. For me, it felt like Psychotic Waltz. This is entitled the God-Shaped Void. I don't know if I mentioned the name of the album. It felt like for this album, they kind of set aside some of that kind of needless, the noodling that was going on in some of their older material. Some of the general complexity that was just complex for the sake of being complex, and I kind of got lost in some of that stuff. It was a bit over my head. They've traded some of that senseless noodling and complexity for solid, eloquent, strong structures, and the whole album works as a whole. The vocal approach on this, I was definitely stoked to see. It has like these harmonious melodies on some of these tracks, very melodic vocals. I think it was track 7. What was that? Pull the String. That one definitely highlights the melodic vocal approach going on this. Also, Sisters of the Dawn, track 10. That's another one that the vocal, it has this catchy vocal melody that just sticks in your head and makes you want to re-listen to this album over and over. Definitely strong album of the year contention going on here. I dug this way more than I expected with it being a progressive metal release. They're not a one-track pony. I mean, each track stands on its own. Each track has its own identity, and it works together well as a full-length album. So definitely check out Psychotic Waltz. Something that some of you older folks watching this channel probably remember. Some of you younger people may not remember Psychotic Waltz. So definitely check that one out. I believe that was released on Sony Music. Next up, we're going back to some more death metal. This is some crunchy death metal out of North Dakota, of all places. When I think in my mind what I would expect North Dakotan, I don't know how to say that, what death metal from North Dakota would sound like, I think it would sound pretty much like this in my mind. What we have here is Phobophilic, I believe is how you pronounce the band name, with Undimensioned Identities. This is a solid 18-minute affair. It is 4 tracks, and each track on this is its own track. Each track is standalone. Within the very first seconds of the first track, That Which Swallowed the Sun, you get a classic sounding death metal hook. It's one that'll stick with you as you go throughout your day. It may come back to you a few days later, and you're like, man, this hook is stuck in my head. Where did I hear this from? it was Phobophilic. Fantastic, fantastic 4 little track EP. Each track, when I break it down, that first track has that memorable death metal hook. That second track has that almost whammy bar effect. It's I'm trying to, like, Cannibal Corpse, early Cannibal Corpse perfected it so well. I've heard it with a lot of other death metal bands, especially ones that you can tell idolize Cannibal Corpse and that type of stuff. It's just kind of if you know, you know what I'm talking about. That would that is the identity of track 2, and it works well within that track. Just give it a listen and you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. Track 3 has the chops going on, and then track 4, Synaptic Vessel, has like this crunchy, plodding, old school death metal vibe going on. Fantastic release out of North Dakota. North Dakota, you did well with this one, so I was very surprised to find this and stumble upon this. It was originally released, I think, towards the end of 2019 on a cassette format through through Blood Harvest, and then they paired up with Rotted Life to do the CD release with this. So I'm glad that they did the little CD release. I'm glad to have this in the collection. I hope you guys take the time to check that one out, because I know several of you that enjoy this channel and enjoy death metal will probably dig that. We're moving a little bit closer to the mainstream now with the 5th album on this list. This is Abysmal Dawn with their newest released Phylogenesis, I think is how you pronounce that. This is, you know what you're getting with Abysmal Dawn. It's just chuggy, technical death metal out of LA. Pretty formulaic with some of their earlier releases. They took about a 6-year hiatus before releasing this, so there was a lot more ideas, a lot more stuff going on this than maybe a couple of their predecessors. I think this one ranks right up there with their I think their debut is From Ashes, I think was the name of that release. This one possibly tops that one. If not, I think it's pretty close to being on par with that release as my 2 favorite, Abysmal Dawn. As I said, it's not over technical, but it's just technical death metal, kind of chuggy, fast-paced, technical death metal in your face. Abysmal Dawn, you know what you're getting. I don't have to spend a whole lot of time on this one, just because you know exactly what to expect through Abysmal Dawn. That's exactly what you're going to get through this release. It is very well performed, and as I said, the hiatus kind of did them well, because you can feel like they had a bit more time to process the ideas that they had bouncing around in their heads, and actually had the time to put those down and work them out the way that they wanted. Just a very well structured album, and the production quality on that is fantastic as well. Next up, we have some black metal. This is out of Portland, Oregon. Portland is a hotbed for heavy metal right now. There is so much great material coming out of Portland. I'm jealous just to be so far away from that scene. We have Hulder with, I'm going to butcher this, the Oproeping van Middeleeuwse dust. I can't do that. It's not in English. I believe the mastermind, the Inquisitor, behind Hulder is a transplant. I don't believe she's originally from Portland. I think she's from a Scandinavian country. It is blown my, it is past, it's out of my mind where she actually possibly is presenting herself from, but Portland, Oregon is where this album is released from. Now, this is self-described as dark medieval black metal. It says it right there on the inside of the digipack, and that is about as perfect of an explanation or description for this band, this project, as you can possibly get. This is a compilation of some of the earlier demos. I think it has 2 demos. This is the repress digipack available through Iron Bonehead Productions. I think this one was limited to 500 copies. The original press sold out. They did the repress to 500. As of me making this video, the Bandcamp had 14 copies of the 500 left. I will link that up in the description. That way you guys can check this out and try to get in on it before it is actually sold out. It's got a very medieval, almost Scandinavian feel to this black metal. There's there's some atmospherics, but it's not over the top atmospheric. I would not call this atmospheric black metal at all. There are hints of atmospheres. leading you into certain tracks and that type stuff. As I said, it's just a compilation. It has 2 of the previous demos. It has like a rehearsal demo and then an actual demo, and then 2 unreleased tracks on this. Fantastic stuff. I enjoyed this a lot more than I thought I was going to. It was a bit abrasive upon the very beginning of my first listen. I was like, man, I don't know if I'm going to dig this or not. It started to grow on me before the entirety of the release got spun through one time. Went back and revisited it. Enjoyed it even more. I saw that the shirts were released through Metalhead Box one month. I got a different shirt that I think I got the Mortis Skull or a different shirt that month. But it still led me to want to check out Hulder because I thought the artwork and stuff was interesting. I wanted to revisit, give it a listen, and I immediately purchased. So definitely going to link that up so you guys can check that out and pick yourself up a copy if you want to. For the last release, we have last but not least, we have a release out of Black Line Records. This came out maybe 2 weeks ago. This is Rearmed with Ignis Aeternam. This is a melodic death metal band. They started out as a bit of a like thrashy death metal band. They've kind of transitioned into symphonic death, melodic death. This is a stellar release. It has a the band themselves is from Finland. They have this mix of old Finland death metal, melodic death metal, mixing with old school Swedish death metal. It's imagine. All right, this is going to be raunchy. Imagine Children of Bodom jackhammering Amon Amarth while Old In Flames is in the corner just letting it go. And if that turns you on, you'll like Rearmed because that's the best way I know to explain this. I think this is the album that may scratch the surface for the band, get them out of the underground, get them some recognition. The disc is not in the case. I apologize for that. It is still in the CD player as I was listening to this last night. So, just so you know, Rearmed, Ignis Aeternam. I'm going to link all of these up in the description. I think you guys will enjoy a lot of these. Those of you that are constantly in the comments and constantly in my messages and stuff and talking to me through this, I know there's several of these that you will enjoy. Definitely take the time to go check these out. That's all I've got for today. I've already started compiling the list for episode 5, so I'm going to try to keep these at least weekly. I may do 1 or 2 a week, but at least 1 a week of these 7 Deadly Spins because it seems like you guys are enjoying them and I'm enjoying doing them as well. So that's all I've got for today. Stay classy, stay metal. I will see you all very soon. I promise.